Would you like to find out what to think about when you want to buy an accent chair for your living room? Well, stay tuned to find out more. Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we're going to be talking about accent chairs for living rooms. And, what is an accent chair? Well, I always think of it just as something that's going to add something different to our room. It's a different type of chair, or maybe even has a different color. It relates, but it also kind of changes things up. We can also think of like an accent wall. It's the same thing, it's adding something different, something that relates, but it just kind of makes things more fun and more interesting. And when we're looking for an accent chair, or even more than one accent chair for our living room, there's a couple things that we can kind of keep in mind. We can keep in mind color and style, and then also just the practicality of everything, making sure that the accent chair or accent chairs will fit in our space. So let's take a look at each of those and get started. So one thing to think about when we're bringing in an accent chair to our living room is just to think about color and, changing up the color, having it be different than the sofa. And that could just be as simple as bringing in a lighter or darker version of a color. Or we can also bring in, similar colors or a totally opposite color. We can look to the color wheel to kind of help us out. Our color wheel is set up a certain way so that we can kind of see which colors kind of work well together. One version that we can look to is, say you have a primary color for your sofa. Say your sofa is blue. Well, one fun thing to do is just add in another primary color. So the primary colors are those colors that we start out with on a color wheel, and we use those colors to create all the other colors. And the primary colors are yellow, blue, and red. Well, just by having a blue sofa, why not add in an accent chair that's in yellow? That's a really straightforward but also fun thing to do. The other thing that we can think about is adding a complementary color. So our primary colors have complementary colors. So if we look at a color wheel and we look at the colors that are opposite those colors, so opposite blue is orange, or opposite green is red, and then opposite yellow is purple. Well, right away, if we have, say, a blue sofa, we can add in an orange chair. Wouldn't that be fun? Even in a version that's maybe kind of a toned down orange, like a orange leather or something. Just something kind of adding a little bit of a look of a complementary color, and right away, that's going to make that room a little bit more interesting. And then the other thing we can think about doing is bringing in related colors. So colors that relate to one another because they may be sharing a color. So an example of that would be this yellow sofa and the green accent chair. So the color green has yellow in it. So right away, those two pieces of furniture relate to each other in color because the green has yellow in it. It provides a really fun accent color, a different color, but at the same time, it relates back to the sofa because it has yellow in it. And the other thing we can think of doing is just adding a color to our accent chairs. We can, have a very nice cream color sofa, but just by adding in another color, red is just, a fun way to add a pop of color, but also just to kind of liven things up. And then the other thing to keep in mind, when you're adding in another color to your accent chairs, whether it's a totally different color or even just something that's related, but it's like a lighter or darker version, the really nice thing to do to make sure that our room is still cohesive and tied in together is use repetition. So, maybe repeat that color in a throw pillow on the sofa, or maybe there's some of those colors in an area rug, or some accessories or a lamp, something else in the room that repeats that color so that there is a sense of everything that is tied in together and that we kind of connect everything and it all makes sense. So the other thing to think about when you want to add an accent chair or two to your room is think about style. So do the opposite of what you already have happening in your sectional or your sofa. If your sectional or sofa is all upholstered, why not come in with a wood frame or a metal frame or some other material into your chair so that it just kind of changes things up? And then just think about style. You could bring in just something kind of a little different maybe than the rest of the furniture in that room, just to kind of liven things up. And then the other thing to think about is just the practical side of everything. When you want to add in a chair, or even from the very beginning, you planned out your living room with accent chairs and a sofa, making sure that there's plenty of room for everything. So whether you planned that ahead of time, that whole grouping, or you want to come back in and add another chair, make sure that there is plenty of space to do that. Measure how much space you have and keep in mind, wiggle room, making sure that there's room on either side of the chair before you add a little side table, or room on the back of the chair in case anybody needs to walk behind it, or even in front of it. Say the chair is in front of a coffee table, making sure that there's around 18 inches so that there's plenty of room for someone to get up and sit down and easily reach the coffee table. And that will help you when you're shopping for an accent chair, what to keep in mind, what sizes will work. And then also keep in mind, will your accent chair have a specific purpose in addition just to sitting there? And, is it just going to be like an occasional chair? Well, maybe you can just fit in an armless chair that takes up less room and it's just occasional. It's when you have more people over and everyone, needs a place to sit down. But if you have an accent chair, say, where you want to have a reading nook, that will take up more space because you'll probably most likely want some arms and a cozy place to sit, and maybe you even want a footstool. So just think of all that, think of a little side table next to it. That's all going to take up more space. And so just planning ahead, how much space you'll need for that so that everything works and everything will look and feel great. So what are some things we can keep in mind when we're looking for an accent chair for our living rooms? So, just think about what would be something different, adding an accent, adding something that's going to change things up, whether that's color or the style. And then also think about, the practical side, making sure that you have plenty of space for one or two chairs and, thinking about how they're going to be used and just to make sure that everything works and looks and feels great. And then I'd love to hear from you if you have an accent chair or two in your living room and what you thought about when you were choosing the style or the color. So please share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested, I have a fun interior design exercise at the end where we can take a deeper dive into accent chairs. So stay tuned to find out more. And thanks so much for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I hope you're doing well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. So we're calling this interior design exercise, Choose a Color for an Accent Chair. And we're going to start out with this red sofa, and then we're going to have a choice of 4 different colors of chairs. And you can decide which one you think will work the best, or really just which one you prefer that seems to look and feel great with that sofa. And then after you decide on which chair color you think is working the best, then share that in the comments, and then share also why you selected that color, why you think it, works well with that red sofa. So before we take a look at the 4 different colors of chairs that I have for you to select from, let's kind of step back and take a look at some color theory that we kind of talked about during this video, because you can use that as a tool to help you select a color. So one thing we talked about are primary colors, and you can always choose a primary color to go with another primary color. So, red, yellow, blue, all of those colors are the primary colors. And so you can always go to a primary color knowing that that will add kind of a fun accent color, but that it goes with the other color because it is a primary color. The other colors we looked at are complementary colors. So on the color wheel, any color that's opposite a primary color, that's a complementary colors. So automatically we can use orange with blue, or yellow with purple, or red with green. So that's a great way to go if you want to add an accent color, something different, but something that makes sense with that other color. And then another way of selecting a color is choosing a color that's related to the other color. So in the video, I showed a yellow sofa with a green chair. Well, to make the color green, green has both yellow and blue in it. So it shares that yellow color. So that yellow and green sofa and chair relate to one another because they share a common color of yellow. So here are the 4 different color of chairs that you can choose from to go with that sofa. And just concentrate on the color because the style may or may not work. So the colors are blue, orange, green, or even this black and white pattern. So now you can decide which color of chair you like best with that sofa. And then when you have decided on the color, let us know in the comments which color you chose, and then also why you chose that color.